Good evening, everyone. I'm Savannah Martinez, and tonight I'm going to state my case as to why becoming the best public speaker you can be will ultimately benefit you so that you can be ready for any situation life throws at you. I think one of the most important places in our lives where our public speaking skills may be the handiest are at work. But it's also something that you have to gain over time through experience and patience. When I turned 16, my parents decided that I should go out and get a job. And so I did. I became an usher at a movie theater. I know it's not very exciting, but being the shy and quiet person that I was, I had a hard time coming out of my shell and speaking up to talk to people. Public speaking was never something that really came natural to me. And still really isn't, to be honest, but I'm getting better. At first, at that job, I only cleaned theaters, and I hardly ever had to interact with people. However, after a couple of months, my manager decided that I was ready to learn the concession stand, and the transition was a lot to take in. Working the concession stand not only had me dealing with money, and lots of it, but it also had me dealing with constant customer interaction, and at first it was really difficult for me. But like anything you do, the more you're experienced to it, the easier it becomes. Soon enough, I was able to strike up a casual conversation without hesitating. I realized at a very young age that any job you're ever going to have, unless you work from home perhaps, you're going to have to deal with people, whether it be management, your coworkers, and especially the customers. So learning how to speak to people in public as early as you can will really pay off in the future. I learned that if you apply yourself and really put an effort into your public speaking skills, then it will come natural to you in all types of situations. I also learned that in customer service, you're not always going to get the nicest people. And the better you are at public speaking, the easier you can diffuse the situation before it escalates. At my theater job, and even at my current job at HEB, you're constantly dealing with people, and whenever you interact with a customer who's rude or unhappy with something, you have to be ready to know what to say. If you work in customer service, you know that sometimes you'll have a customer or even a manager who will yell at you or get angry at you for something that you may or may not have even done wrong. But with the right public speaking skills, you'll be able to handle the situation accordingly and sometimes even talk your way out of the heated situation. Now that I have made some inferences, I will discuss how these inferences can be transferred into other situations. I'd now like to provide you with some situations that I have personally been through and how I use my public speaking skills to handle the situation. Number 1, the angry customer. As I mentioned before, if you work in customer service, you're gonna have to deal with lots of people who will get angry at you, whether it's your fault or not. For example, I once had a customer who was mad at me not mad at me, but who was angry because an item wasn't ringing up at the price that she thought it was. And so she proceeded to then take her anger out on me when I couldn't just change it right away. The hardest part of these situations is not to take them personally, but just to really hear out the customer so that you can help them. I ended up being able to go look at the price for her and mark it down, but she still wasn't happy, but at least the issue was resolved. People, you can't make them happy. Number 2, speaking to a manager. Although this should go without being said, anytime you're at work, you have to be professional. But there's something about speaking with a manager that calls for an even higher level of professionalism. When speaking with my managers, even if I'm friends with them, I always remember to keep it professional and to be respectful to them, even if I don't agree with something that they say or do. It's just they're your boss, and especially at a lower end job like mine, you can't really argue with them because you need your paycheck. And finally, number 3, the spontaneous situation. Sometimes you'll be put through situations where territory is unfamiliar, but with the right public speaking skills, you'll be able to adapt quickly and communicate with whoever you have to in a way that's comfortable for them. For example, I have a customer at work, or it's actually a family, and they're deaf. And the first time they came through my line, I didn't know what to do. I wanted to talk to them, but I couldn't, and I wasn't sure if they could read my lips and I've never learned sign language, so there was that barrier. But with practice and experience, and they like me so much that they always come through my line, I now know that if I have to talk to them, just to pronounce my words very clearly so they can read my lips, and I usually keep it to yes or no questions so that way they can either nod or shake their head, however they have to get through to me. And in conclusion, by learning how to adapt to situations we face every day speaking to new people, we can be more aware of how to deal with these new verbal situations that arise by building off of past experiences or by simply being ready to deal with whatever comes your way. You can reassure yourself that you're almost always going to say the right thing. Now that you know just how important public speaking skills are to have, you can really step back in your daily life and analyze your conversations and learn from them, so that when you find yourself in a strange or unfamiliar conversational territory, you won't have to stumble over your words and be clueless on how to diffuse any situation. I hope you're all I hope I hope you're all able to relate and learn something from the importance of public speaking. And it was a pleasure getting to know all of you over this semester. Thank you.